व्यासः सर्गः सुसङ्क्षेपो विस्तरः पर्ययो नरः ऋतुसंवत्सरो मासः पक्षः संख्या समापनः Vyasah, he is the form of Veda Vyasa. We have discussed yesterday how Shiva Tattva, the Guru Tattva, comes in many manifestations throughout the yugas, primarily as the Yuga Guru, and secondarily as the many gurus. I mean, there is no hierarchy between amongst the gurus themselves. However, they come to reach out to the grieving and the samsara stuck souls, the jivas, to uddhara, to uplift them towards the Supreme, the Atman. Vyasaha. Sargaha. He is the creation. Sargaha. Susankshepaha. Susankshepaha is he who is the most concise, the summary, the quintessence, the quintessential essence of all knowledge systems. So that is called Susankshepaha. He is the gist of everything. And which is why in the Upanishads, one of them, the Mundaka, the Mahashala, Shaunaka, Mahashala is the great householder. Shaunaka, he goes to uh, Angirasa, the Maharishi Angirasa, and he asked this question: Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate sarvamidam vijñatam bhavati iti. O Maharshi, please tell me, Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate, by understanding that one thing, sarvamidam vijñatam bhavati. How will I have understood everything which is there here? Sarvam idam vijñatam bhavati iti. So it here idam literally means everything of the material sphere. Kasminnu bhagavo vijñate. So by understanding what, but having understood experientially what, will I have experienced everything which is present here? And why is he asking that? See, please note it is coming from a Mahashala, a great householder, which means he was himself a great tapasvi, a very qualified spiritual seeker, and he has tasted the pleasures of the world. And he is the Mahashala. And having tasted everything, at least the most common things, the typical things that the material world can offer, and having also been taken the beatings of the pains of the world, he has now approached Angirasa to ask, by understanding and by experiencing that one thing, what is that? Through which I will have understood and experienced everything else. So it is not just curiosity, it is not just collecting information, but experiential, vijñate. Vijñate means experiential knowledge, not just conceptual or memory knowledge. You see, most of the things that we collected from school are memory-based knowledge, or memory-based, you can just call it information. That knowledge which stays in the memory and is prone to the changes in memory. You see, I have written an exam day before yesterday, and today I have already forgotten the syllabus. And that is because I learned it by rote and taken it to memory. So all the information that we have gathered through YouTube, through books, encyclopedia, etc., all of that is called knowledge or information. More so in technical terms, knowledge which is based in memory or which is stored in memory. Therefore, a small alteration to the memory, for example, amnesia or through age, the memory by natural causes degrades. And by that, slowly all information is lost. But that is not vijnata or vijnana. What is then vijnana? So that is one kind of knowledge. The second kind of knowledge is that which is based in manas. Manas means the receptacle of the sense organs. One is chitta, which is memory. The second is manas. I think one of them was discussing this. I think it was Usha ma'am who was talking about this in great detail. The four parts of the human psyche. What are they? Memory, chitta, manas, the receptacle the thinking part of the brain, the subconscious and the thinking part. Third is buddhi, the aware part of the brain. And fourth is the identity part, which is called the ego or ahankara. So the knowledge can be derived or based on any of these four, any one or more of these four also. The one which we just talked about is the memory based. Second is manas, which means the knowledge which comes through the manas. For example, I know somehow that ice cream tastes good. I know somehow that chocolate is sweet. I know somehow that as soon as I am born, I have to suckle at the mother's breasts. I know somehow, see, nobody would have taught just 2 or 3 minutes born baby that it has to drink milk, right? So, where is all of this information coming from? This information is being relayed by instinct or through sense organs. So, there is a certain knowledge, intelligence, or information, whatever you may call it, which is based in the manas, which is in the sense organs, in the body itself. So that is one kind of, and see, for example, you clearly know the touch of a beloved person, of a dear one or a near one, right? And that knowledge also comes when, let's say, for example, a person passes away or is in great agony somewhere. Somehow it is the mothers who always pick up on this signal and they become physically ill. I'm very sure all the revered ladies here may have experienced it themselves, either a close one, either their parent or their child or close sibling, etc. might have been in very serious trouble or pain and or agony, and they would have themselves felt it. How is that so? So it is all through sense relay by the information which is being conveyed across different people, across boundaries, across distances through the sense organs. It is called the memory, which is, sorry, the information which is stored in the manas. So chitta and manas. And third is the buddhi, that which is stored in the rational, aware part of the mind, which is what we refer to as consciousness. So many people think buddhi means the thinking part, the rationalization, the conceptualization. That is also to a very certain extent only the function of buddhi. But the buddhi, the word literally comes from the word buddh, means to become aware. So the it is the buddhi that we rely upon to do meditation too, to do japa too, because we are becoming aware of our own mind. So it is a very self aware, what do you call it? Self-awareing kind of principle, buddhi. It is the first thing which starts on when we wake up from our sleep, which is why the word prabodha means becoming aware, becoming jagrat. So buddhi is the function of the brain which helps us become aware and participate. See, a person who is in coma, right? He may not be very rational. He may not be a scholarly person or erudite person. However, we say he has lost his buddhi, not in the sense that he's stupid, but because he has lost his awareness. So this aware, conscious living, I mean, that function which gives us the sense of living and interacting and awareness of our surroundings, that is lost to a person who is in coma or in deep sleep, because specifically this particular part of the brain is not working at that time, which is called the buddhi. So that is the information which is stored in the buddhi, how to become aware, how to go back to sleep, and how to become aware of dimensions beyond the physical. So any knowledge which comes of the extraordinary, of the supernatural, etc., is to be stored in the buddhi. And the last and the final kind of buddhi is the of knowledge is the knowledge which is present in the ahankara. So ahankara is not just pride, as many people usually think. The ahankara here refers to this identity, and it is not a bad thing, nor a good thing. It is just a very essential feature of all living creatures. It is not just the humans, because pride is an emotion which is displayed only by humans. But this ahankara that they speak about is actually the sense of identity, the sense of I, which comes to all living beings, be it a bacteria, a virus, um, a fungus, protozoan, amoeba, and so on, to a plant, then to humans too, where they draw the boundary. So where we say this is I and this is not I. This knowledge, this information, which is responsible for demarcating the boundary, for setting the boundaries, and for bringing in individuality. That is the ahankara. And any such experiences which happen at that level are stored there. For example, very commonly the yoginis have reported losing their sense of individuality, so-called dying at the time of their samadhis. And that is because that extra information is being transmitted into the ahankara part of the brain, because now no longer is there, I mean, it's like a program, a code has been overwritten. The usual code of being an animal, of being a creature, has been meddled with, and a new code has been introduced into the system. So it now doesn't really know what to do with that extra code. So at that level, at such a deep level, when samadhis and such mystical experiences happen, all that jnana, all that wisdom and experience is stored at the level of ego. So, which is why across lifetimes, it is said, because it is the ahankara covered by the manas and the chitta, and wrapped around with the chitta, which traverses, which transmigrates between bodies. Because of that feature, the jiva will have said to have been liberated, because we have seen many evidences like Jnaneshwar, Shuka, Adi Shankaracharya, Swami Vivekananda, who all showed very peculiar features like a prodigy right from birth itself. And that is because they say one is sadhana, and secondly is because that experience they must have already had in their erstwhile lives. And how is it carried forward? Because even in the chitta, not all information is carried forward. So, for example, maybe in my previous janma, it is said that I was born maybe as a queen, or let's say a female merchant. In that case, all the knowledge of doing trade and business will definitely not have been carried forward, because that part of chitta is not. Whereas the manas, we have seen these examples of mediums and psychics who are able to make connections and seances with so-called deceased people, right? That is because their manas, the sensory sphere of the mind, is very sensitive of theirs, and hence are able to uh, supposedly make connections with those souls which are also communicating through their manas. Anyhow, this is too technical. Why I wanted to mention this was because the vijnana which they speak about, also called as the vijnanavada um, of many of, which is kind of Advaita, kind of Kashmiri Shaivism, which actually says that Vijnana, this very special experience, is beyond these four experiences. That is the experience of the memory, experience of the mind, the sensory mind, the experiences which are present in the ego, and the experiences of the buddhi. Something which is beyond these four is said to be Vijnana. And that is basically the summation, the sum total of all these four knowledge systems and all these four sources of information condensed into one singular point. That is called Susankshepa. It's a technical term. Susankshepa. The filtered, very pure essence from which the seed from which all knowledge systems sprout. That is Shiva itself. Vistaraha, the vast. Paryayaha is, mm, he surrounds us all. Paryaya means he surrounds us all. Naraha, human. Ritu is the seasons. Once again, if you remember, Shiva represents the Dhruva Nakshatra, the tilt of the earth, and the tilt of the earth is basically one which is responsible for us having seasons. Otherwise, many of the other planets, they don't even have seasons, because they are either completely in line with the, in pointing in the direction of the sun, or 90 degrees perpendicular to it, because of which they don't really have this cyclical change of seasons. And it is very special because it happens only on earth. Vyasa Rituhu Samvatsaraha. So you can have Varsha Ritu, Grishma Ritu, all the 6 seasons. Then Samvatsara is 1 year, Masa is 1 month, Paksha is 15 days, Sankhya Samapanaha, one who measures, or one who is the measurement of numerals, Sankhya Samapanaha. So not only is he the measures of time, as in seasons, years, masas, and pakshas, but he is also the measurement of all numbers, of all numeric concepts. Sankhya Samapanaha. And so on, the shloka continues saying, Kala Kashtha Lava Matra Muhurtaha Kshapaha Kshanaha Vishvakshetram Prajabijam Lingamadhyastu Nirgamaha. Kala, Kashtha, all these are measures of time. Kala is the smallest, Kashtha a little more than that, Lava a few more seconds more, Matra, then Muhurta. Muhurta is, I may be able to share the exact uh, split and the actual definitions of these later on the group. However, these are just measures of time, of periods of time. Muhurta is probably, I think, 38 or 40 minutes. Kshapaha is perhaps 1 hour. And Kshana is, I think, again, 1.5 minute, maybe, I don't know. But all these are measurements of time. Vishwakshetram, he is the field in which the universe exists. I think it was again Swami Vivekananda who said, we are here uh, like in a akhada. We come here to perform a certain exercise, a gym. We toil here, we struggle, and we happily toil and struggle here to build our character and gain spiritual knowledge for the future lives. So we'll keep coming back to this gymnasium to become purified, and become stronger and stronger in character too. So Shiva is the field, the kshetram, in which this universe plays out. It again takes us to the kshetrajna vibhaga yoga of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetrajnayor jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. So he goes on to describe how, basically drawing from the Sankhya philosophy, the kshetrajna, which is the Purusha, the witnesser, and the witnessed, the subject and the object, the kshetrajna and the kshetra. So in that sense, also everything which is experienced will come under the domain of being a kshetra, of the object. And in that line of thought, Shiva is also the Vishwakshetram. He is all the objects of experience. Vishwakshetram, Praja Bijam, the seed of humanity. He is the seed of humanity, of all offspring. So he is the father of Prajapati, and Prajapati is the father of all creation. So he is the seed from which all creation has sprung. Lingam, he is the linga, the physical manifestation of the Nirguna Tattva is the linga, which has no form and which represents a masculine energy, a masculine dominant energy. Lingam. Adyaha, one who came first. We say Adi Yogi, Adinatha. One who came first, Adyaha. Tu is also the Nirgamaha. Again, Nirgama means one who is unaccessible, one who is beyond Gama. Now, Gama means to move, is movement. It also means knowledge. So in Samskritam, a peculiar thing is told that Gatyarthakam can mean both the Gamana, which means to move, to locomote, also knowledge. also to understand. So he is in both these senses nirgama, in that he cannot be known, nirgama in that sense, and he can also not be reached. So you can't really fly off in a shuttle, space shuttle, and find Shiva somewhere lying in a far distant galaxy. Because it is not a certain person or an entity sitting in the universe, it is the universe itself. So nirgamaha, which is beyond all comprehension, completely inaccessible, and cut off from all sources of inquiry. Nirgamaha. I think it was Kabir Das who actually said in one of the his dohas, he says, finally, kahet Kabira suno bhai sadhu, agama. Yeah, I don't remember, but let me just share that video later on the group. So he says basically that agama pantha hamara. He says this pantha, what is the path that I am taking? That it is the path of no paths, agama, that which can actually not be reached through any physical, mental, or intellectual means. So it only comes through complete realization that it cannot be reached. The final, the ultimate cannot be reached by any self effort. And that itself takes a lot of effort, of self effort, to come to that situation. So that is how they reconcile the significance and the importance of self effort versus destiny. So it is not that at this particular state, I can just leave everything up, give everything up, and say it cannot be reached. It is that to get to that knowledge, which has become my blood, that yes, truly God cannot be reached. Till I get to that state, it's a lot of self effort, is how the scriptures reconcile free will versus destiny. The final step, like we have discussed also even in the yogic terms, that is from the Ajna till the Sahasrara, it actually, there is no path. There is no road ahead, right? So it's a stop from there, and you can only, it's a cliff, and you can only fall with a leap of faith. सदसद्व्यक्तमव्यक्तं पिता माता पितामहः स्वर्गद्वारं प्रजाद्वारं मोक्षद्वारं त्रिविष्टपम्. All of these have been previously explained. Let me just quickly breeze over. Sat asad, that which is manifest, unmanifest. Vyaktam avyaktam, which is expressed, which is not expressed. Pita, father, he is the father. Mata, pitamaha, is the grandfather. Swargadwaram. Swargadwaram is, he is the doorway to heavens. So for people who want heavens, he becomes the doorway to heavens. Praja Dwaram. And for people who want to beget children, who want to engage in activity, you see, in most of our Vedic literature, we find people, rishis, repetitively asking for praja, prajam dehi, and give us progeny, give us strength, give us uti. Uti means protection. Give us water, rain, heat, and strength, and praja, and so on. And why is that so? In, see, you can look at it from two paradigms. One is, in those days the population was very less, so maybe they wanted children to increase and boost the economy. Secondly, praja actually is the fundamental unit of any society. If you look at it, uh, whether, I mean, of course, it is a people's choice. It is choice of an individual to have a family or not. But the even legally, even as recognized by religion of most religions of the world, the family is the fundamental unit of a society, right? And that is where all emotional, financial, material, and perhaps spiritual fulfillment happens. So this unit of parents, of family, of children, etc., is said to be called praja. And for protecting this unit of society, perhaps the rishis could also have asked for prajas. The other reason is because any civilization values culture, and culture can be impregnated or carried forward through a family unit only. And whether we like it or not, yes, there have been many sannyasis, but the actual people who practically use it are is where the actual work happens, is within the family. So in that sense, it could have been Praja. Of course, many great people have chosen to remain single. Nothing against them. It is just that as a civilization, as a society, there's always enormous focus on making children and carrying forward the legacy. You see, even in Japan and all these countries, their populations are dwindling, and many of the religions they have heavily focus on making children. And I don't want to actually take the names with the fear of future criticism, but you guys already know which I am referring to. So they lay a very strong emphasis because they think, and it is also very natural because it is an evolutionary feature, that there is strength in numbers, right? A herd, a group of individuals definitely have more strength. A tribe has more strength if they have more head count than another tribe. An army is more strong, is stronger than another army if it has more numbers. And of course, this is the common rule. And how do you get more numbers? Only through reproduction and breeding their own people. So this was the very crucial idea, a very materialistic idea, nevertheless. However, it was still a part of the usual wish list of things sought after, even from the Vedic times. Praja. So for those who want that, Shiva will bestow uh, Praja to them. Praja Dwaram, Moksha Dwaram. And for those who choose not to engage with society, with civilization, and they actually have greater or higher goals in their mind, they seek moksha, they seek freedom. You see, praja, in fact, is completely contradictory to moksha dwara. Perhaps we can reason this out because praja, to have children, to look after them, to raise a family, etc., is to live in society, is to depend on many people, depend on the market, depend on the neighbors around, depend on municipal workers, etc., etc. So there is a lot of dependence, therefore a lot of bondage too, because we are exposing ourselves to a lot of uncertainty. Hence, not every time whatever we say will work in the family. Is it not? So that is Prajadwara, which is a very material paradigm. Whereas for people who may have seen all of this already or may usually don't have such a desire, they may choose moksha, they may choose freedom. And in most societies, excepting Sanatana Dharma, people have actually frowned upon such people who wanted freedom, so-called freedom, and either they were hanged, either they were crucified, or they were poisoned, or they were um, criticized and slandered, or they were either chopped off and thrown into the Euphrates River, etc. So people really don't like, because society doesn't really like freedom if we actually think about it. But those who want to get freedom, moksha dwara, of course, have to be dhiras. They have to be very courageous because they are going against the stream, and we all know how much energy, effort, and courage it takes to flow against the stream. So moksha dwaram. So Shiva will actually come to our help in that matter too. Moksha dwaram. Now these three exactly are the summaries of all religion. You see, there is a swarga component. There is a promise of a future world, of a future time, the heavens. There are the 72 virgins. Then there are the Gandharvas. Then there are the Apsaras. Then there are the angels floating in heaven, giving us all these desires, etc. So it is there in every religion. This promise of a greater future, of a greater happiness, and then there is a promise of a greater happiness within the world, which is praja, a very nice, tightly knit family which provides us all our material needs, security, social security, financial and emotional fulfillment. And then there is also a component of religion which has a feature of breaking everything, breaking all the molds. and just running away, into the wild to face universe naked, in a sense, naked, both metaphorically as well as perhaps, these Lalleshwari and Akkamahadevi, such great saints, actually had the courage to even walk naked, physically naked too. So they just want complete freedom. They want no other attachments. They want no other accumulations. And they're also a part of the, though not really respected a lot, a part of the sum total of all spiritual religious movement which happens within the humans. Swarga, Raja, and Moksha. Bhukti and Mukti. Trivishtapam. Trivishtapam is Swarga itself. Mm. Shiva is also the Indra. We have seen he is Devendra, Deva Devaha. He is Agni, Vayu, Varuna, Soma, Yama, Nirriti, Ashwini, all of that. He is also the entire realm of heavens itself, Trivishtapam. निर्वाणं ह्लादनश्चैव ब्रह्मलोकः परागतिः देवासुरविनिर्माता देवासुरपरायणः. Finally, after having seen the pleasures of the Swarga, when we return back to the material sphere, we will want to, we automatically will like to seek something which would give us happiness even beyond the heavens, which is completely permanent, because even the heaven pleasures are said to be not permanent. ते तं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालं क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्ना गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते. So says Krishna, where he says, as long as you have balance, bank balance, money in your wallet, that is punya in your wallets, you can enjoy the pleasures of swarga to your heart's content. But once you have also paid off all your dues and paid off all your money and exhausted your savings, you will be forced down back onto the earth, and again allowed to work so as to accumulate and punya, and so on and so forth. So this is basically our mundane life. We work for 5 days a week, kind of like in the karma bhumi, and then we go to swarga bhumi on the weekends, party, we go to movies, we spend time with our family, and we engage in our hobbies, we eat what we want, we go to places where we want, etc. So we are living this mini swarga, mini earth kind of a loop. And this, Krishna says, also happens on the spiritual plane. And therefore, he says, when of people who are fed up of this gata gatam, going and coming, they will finally start seeking me. And therefore, the word nirvanam, where there is no movement, vana also means movement, gata gatam, nirvanam, which is where there is no movement, there is no going or coming. It actually also means, in a Buddhist context, the extinguishing of a flame, nirvanam. So this flame of passion, if you remember, this flame of desire, this agni of material longing is completely extinguished when we seek Shiva, Nirvanam. Hladanaha. Hladanaha is when we have extinguished ourselves, when we have extinguished the ego sense, when we have overwritten the code, the usual natural code of a living creature, we enter into the domain of hladana. Hlada means ananda. Ahlada, we say prahlada. Ahlada means joy. It means freeness. You say ahlada karaha means something which sets you loose, which you are able to revel and enjoy and get high on. Hladanaha. Brahmalokaha. He represents the supremost heaven which is possible, which is called Brahmaloka. So if you see the Gayatri mantra, it is that the Vyahritis go like this: Om Bhur Bhuvaha Swaha Maha Jana Tapaha Satyam. So what we refer to as Satyaloka is nothing but also the Brahmaloka. They are synonymous. So that is the highest position a jiva retaining its identity can reach. This is called Satya or Brahmaloka. That is the state of being the creator itself. But where the individuality still remains, where the sagunatva still remains, right? That is the supreme-most place, which also in the Bhakti traditions called the Salokyam, Sayujyam, etc. Mm. But beyond that, what is it called? It is called Paragatihi. So Brahmaloka is that supreme-most heaven. Of course, there is a return from that, but on a very long time scale, in the time scale of billions of years, they say. And a state even beyond that is the Paragatihi, the supreme-most abode, which even Brahma cannot reach. That is the abode of Shiva, of the Nirguna Brahman, Paragatihi. And the following shlokas have this constant refrain of Devasura. So I'll just quickly go over them. Devasura Vinirmata. Devasura again, like we have been discussing time and again, God is unbiased. He actually does not participate in the mundane moral arguments that we are always so engrossed in. So he looks at things equally because he, of course, is the cosmic creator and he has little time to bother with our petty good, evil, bad distinctions. So he, being very unbiased, was also the creator of both the good and evil. So Deva Asura Vinirmata. Again, Devasura Parayanaha. And he is also the one both Devas and Asuras come to seeking help. Devasura Parayanaha. Then Devasura Guruhu. He is the teacher to both of them. And in fact, the guru of the Devas is called Brihaspati, the guru of the Asuras is called Shukracharya, and both of them incidentally worship and derive their wisdom from Shiva. They're actually very good friends themselves, Brihaspati and Shukracharya. They learned it from Shiva himself. Devasura Guruhu, Devaha, he is the Lord, he is Devasura Namaskritaha, and he is also prostrated and saluted by both devas and the asuras, the good and the evil, the angels and the demons, the shishtas and the dushtas, all of them, they prostrate to Shiva, but in their own ways, of course, with their own different intentions. Devasura Mahamatraha, he is the great sound that both devas and asuras make. And what does it mean? It means it is the cry of help of the devas. It is also the cry of arrogance of the asuras. And both these are God itself. Devasura Mahamatraha. Devasura Ganashrayaha. He also gives shelter to both the troops of devas and asuras equally. Devasura Ganadhyakshaha. He is also the Lord, the chief commander of the troop of both Devas and Asuras. Devasura Ganagranihi. He is also the leader, the foremost leader. Devati Devaha, the greatest of all gods. Devarshihi. He is Narada himself because Devarshi is the supremost position on the hierarchy of the rishis. So Devarshi is a post which is so powerful that it actually equals that of Indra itself. So Devarshi and Narada is, though he doesn't display his powers at all, the, the power that he wields is so strong. Devarshi. Devasura Varapradaha. So just imagine to be a consultant to Indra itself and a consultant of the Guru to Indra. That is, Brihaspati himself learned many things from Narada, the Devarshi, the only Devarshi there is. It's a very coveted position for all the rishis, Devarshi. It is even said to be higher than Brahmarshi. That is, Narada is prostrated to by even Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, and the other Saptarishis. A very coveted, a very high noble post, Devarshihi. Devasura Varapradaha. Once again, a very controversial thing, but yes, he does give boons to both the Devas as well as the Asuras. Devasureshwaro Vishwaha. देवासुर महेश्वरः सर्वदेवमयो चिन्त्यो देवतात्मात्मसम्भवः. देवासुरेश्वरः, the god of both the gods and the asuras. So the one who is in charge, one who is the boss of both of these. Vishwaha, he is universe. Devasura Maheshwara. Now all of this is again very repetitive. He is the great boss, the big boss. Sarvadeva Mayaha. He is made of all the devas in his Vishwarupa form. Achintyaha, of course, because he is Nirgama, because he cannot be reached through any psychological conceptual means, he cannot also be therefore thought of, because he is himself the very source from which all thoughts emerge. Mm. Yat Vang Manas Agocharam, they say. Yat, that which is Vak, concept, the Buddhi, any logical, and Manas, any experiential, sensory, he is beyond both sensory knowledge as well as conceptual knowledge. Yat Vang Manas Agocharam. Agocharam means Achintyam, which cannot be thought of. यतो वाचो निवर्तन्ते अप्राप्य मनसा सह. So says the Taittiriya. So it says, from which all vak just not does not just literally mean the speech, but it also means the thoughts, because we actually speak to ourselves more so in terms of thoughts than in actual words. So vak actually means the thoughts. Yataha vachaha nivartante, from which place all the thoughts, all concepts actually return back. Nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Even if the thoughts were to take the companion, the manas, the sensory, the thinking, the emotional mind, even with these thoughts plus the mind, aprapya, they cannot really reach that particular source. Aprapya manasa saha. A very mystical saying, actually. Yad vacha nabhyuditam yena vag abhyudyate is how the Kena Upanishad says. Yad vacha na abhyuditam, that which cannot be thought of through any words or concepts, but yena vag abhyudyate, from which all thoughts and concepts and human languages and words emerge. So he is that Shiva, Achintyaha, Devatatma, whose soul itself is the soul of all the gods. Atma Sambhavaha, he is born from his own soul. He is self-created, self-sustaining, and kind of self-destroyed also, because he goes back into his own soul. Atma Sambhavaha. Udbhit Trivikramo Vaidyo Virajo Nirajo Maraha. ईड्यो हस्तीश्वरो व्याघ्रो देवसिंहो नरर्षभः. Udbhit means he is the germ in the sense he is the seed from which all things sprout. He is the XY chromosome, so to speak. Udbhit Trivikramaha. Trivikrama, it's actually the name of Vishnu, and because Shiva equals Vishnu, he is also called Trivikrama because he put the three great strides. He took the three great strides. Vikrama means to stride, to make a long leap. Trivikramaha, thus referring to the story of Vamana, where he took the three great steps, thus conquering Bhur, Bhuva, and Swaha. All the material, the meta-material, and the spiritual realms. Trivikramaha. Vaidyaha, of course, as Vaidyanatha, he is the supremost physician. Virajaha, one without impurities. Virajaha, Rajas means impurities. Virajaha, without impurities. Nirajaha, again synonymous, without impurities. It can also mean Niraja is the name of a lotus. Nire jataha, that which is born in water. Nira. Nira in Kannada also means water. Nire jataha, that which is born amidst impurities, amidst adversities and rivalries, but still makes it pure. Neerajaha, Amaraha, without death. Idyaha, most worthy of all praises, worship, and speech. Idyaha. Hastishwaraha. He is Airavata. Hasti means an elephant. Hastishwara is the boss of all elephants. Airavata. Vyagraha, the lion, the tiger. Devasimha, the lion, which Durga rides. Nararshabha, he is also the Nara, he is also the Rishabha, he is also Nandi, he is also the human. All these are the vehicles of particular devatas. Hasteshwara is the vehicle of Indra, Vyaghra of Chamunda, Devasimha of Durga, Nara of Nirriti, and Rishabha, of course, of Ishvara itself. विबुधोऽग्रवरः सूक्ष्मः सर्वदेवस्तपोमयः सुयुक्तः शोभनो वज्री प्रासानां प्रभवो व्ययः. Vibudha, the supreme most ever alert entity. Vibudha. Again, awareness is Buddha, Buddhi. Vibudha. Agravaraha. Agravaraha is the foremost amongst the excellent people, though he is himself beyond all expertise and knowledge. He is said to be Agravara, that is, he also has accomplished the zenith, the pinnacle of all knowledge systems. Agravaraha, Sukshmaha, very subtle, Sarvadevaha, the form of all gods, Tapo Mayaha, has tapasya, Suyuktaha, ever yoked. Yoked to what? Yoked to himself. Atmanyevatmana tushtasthita prajnastadochyate. One who is ever yoked to himself. Atmani eva atmanaha yuktaha. One who is always yoked to himself or herself. So yuktaha. Shobhanaha. Very beautiful. Vajri. He is Indra because he carries the Vajrayudha with him. Prasanam Prabhavaha, the creator of all living creatures. Prasa. Prasa means one which with asus, one with living breath. Prasanam Prabhavaha. And Avyayaha, the immaculate, the unchanging. Avyayaha, the inexpendable. Avyayaha. गुहः कान्तो निजः सर्गः पवित्रं सर्वपावनः शृङ्गी शृङ्गप्रियो बभ्रूराजराजो निरामयः. Guha, the cave, which Bhavani ma'am has very beautifully said, the cave of the heart. He sits there, Guha, and not really in only the Himalayan caves, but actually in our own caves. Guha, Kantaha, he is the most beloved. Atmanastu kamaya sarvamidam priyam bhavati is how Yajnavalkya puts it to when he speaks to Maitreyi, who keeps asking, what about you? Because when Yajnavalkya has reached his stage of complete maturity, he says, I'm going to walk away from my home now. So you can keep all the wealth that I have accumulated, all my properties you can take. So I'll be no longer with you. But then his wife, Maitreyi, she says, then what about you? I will be missing you, right? Because I, as a Pativrata, I am solely dependent on you for my happiness. Then he says, no, you have actually mistaken. It's a delusion that you are actually laboring under, because we only think that the other person gives us happiness. In fact, it is only ourselves. Because it is the love for ourselves, we actually love others. It's a very radical statement to make, because it is questioning the entire system of society, of relationships itself. But if we actually look at it a little deeper, we have to, though hesitatingly, accept that that is how things are. So he is the most beloved because it is even through teaching, I somehow feel I am sharing some knowledge. And why do I want to share knowledge? Because I feel maybe I derive some satisfaction out of interacting with great venerable ladies like you guys, and maybe also posting it on YouTube. Maybe people may watch, they may hit this like button, they may subscribe, etc. So there is definitely some shades of material pleasure and some shades of emotional fulfillment that I'm looking at. But if I actually question it further, it is also because it is not that I am actually deriving pleasure out of others. It is my own thoughts which may come at a certain circumstance which will give me that pleasure. It is only when I actually look up those number of subscribers and I feel to myself, you see, there are some thousand subscribers. So I've actually made it in life, etc., as a YouTuber at least. And so the mind will tell me, no, no, let's now make it at 10,000. So that at 10,000 limit, it means you have 10,000 people watching your videos. So you are actually spreading your knowledge to 10,000 people. So which means you are great. So, let's derive joy from that. Or in other words, it may be other people may think, you see, I'm actually engaging with my friends because I want to pass time. And I actually want to pass time because I cannot really be with myself and I'll get really bored to death. So I need to feel joy by my own thoughts. So in every such interaction, be it with the world or be it uh, with even ourselves, with our own thoughts, it is the joy which we are seeking from ourselves only. And that because Shiva is our Atma, he is the Kanta. He is actually our lover. He is actually our most beloved person. Kantaha, Nijaha, Nijaha, one who is present within us. Nijaha, one who is born within us. At the very time of birth, he actually comes as our friend, Suhrit, and he stays along with us till we cross this ocean of samsara, and then finally he actually doesn't go away. He becomes one with us. So these friends actually merge together, and so he never leaves our side. Nijaha, Sargaha, creation, Pavitram, holy, Sarva Pavanaha, the purest of all, and which purifies and sanctifies others. Sarva Pavanaha. And this is also very important because this idea of purity, of holiness, must actually come from spiritual endeavors rather than social endeavors. Yes, hygiene is important. Yes, Shuchitva is important. But the actual pavitrata comes from knowledge, which is why Krishna again says, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. Not even water is as pure as knowledge, as jnana. Not even keeping good hygiene is as pure as jnana. And that jnana, of course, again is Shiva itself. Sarva Pavana. And it is jnana which actually purifies us because then we have a larger perspective. And as we have already discussed, when we know a thing properly, either good or bad, we grow a distaste to it naturally. So we will stop engaging with it. Sarva Papa. In that sense, we have become purified of our sins. Sarva Papa Pranashanam. And we have become Pavana. Shringi, who is like a deer. Shringa Priyaha, one who likes uh, which have horns, those creatures which have horns, which is why he has the bull which has horns. He's actually also defeated the dragon which had horns. He carries the deer with him on his hand, which has horns, yeah, antelopes, and he also likes cows. He is also present in cows because they also have horns, etc. So he likes things with horns. Shringa Priyaha. Babruhu, one who is very reddish in color, like fire. Babru, Raja Rajaha, king of kings, Niramayaha, without disease. Because of course the doctor himself must be free of disease. I mean, if he is blowing his nose into the kerchief, he can't really cure me of cold. So Niramayaha. Abhiramas Suragano Viramas Sarvasadhanaha Lalataksho Vishvadevo Harino Brahmavarchasaha. He who is Abhirama, one who is ever reveling, ever relishing his own joy, who is the form of joy, Abhirama. And this is also the reason why all disciplines of Sanatana Dharma uh, prefer the Rama Nama, despite their parampara inclinations, whether Shaivite, Vaishnavite, Shakta, Ganapatya, whether secular, non-secular, everybody likes the word Rama. It may or may not literally refer to the figure, the historic figure Rama of the Ramayana, but definitely the word itself has a very great significance. So much so that Kabira, who was actually born a Muslim, he got the Upadesha of the word Rama and from his Guru Ramananda, Swami Ramananda, and he actually professes the Ramanama over any other name. Just chanting to oneself this very word Rama, which is said to be the younger sister of the Pranava mantra Om. So it is that powerful. It also literally means Ramate Yasmin iti Ramaha. In which name or in which state all creatures become supremely ecstatic. That is said to be the Rama. So Abhirama also means the same. Suraganaha, the bunch of gods. Viramaha, again, that which helps us relax. Viramaha, or that which is the cessation of all action. Virama. We say Viram lena hai. We take a leave, right? Because we are taking a break or cessation from activity, from all activity, because he is the complete stillness. No movement. Movement leads to activity. When you are completely still as Shiva, we find the ultimate rest. Viramaha Sarva Sadhanaha. Now, because this soul which has come in contact with Shiva is so well rested, Virama, it becomes Sarva Sadhana. It is capable of moving a lot. Sadhana means to move. Sarva Sadhana means it becomes so capable of all movement, which is why we have seen many great saints and saintesses do so much in their life. In fact, many times, lifetimes of works as compared to other people, and they are actually working so much, able to work so much because their soul and their minds are completely well rested. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate. Only when the mind is completely serene and still, prasade, sarva dukkhanam hanihi. Only then will all these chota chota and the bada bada dukkhas, shokas in us, kleshas in us be completely destroyed. And prasanna chetaso hi ashu buddhif paryavatishthate. And only of a serene, calmed, well-rested mind, prasanna chetasaha hi ashu. Only for that kind of a mind, ashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Only of that creature which has rested its mind and soul well, will its buddhi, will its awareness become very quickly fixed. Ashu. Ashu means quickly it will get fixed. This is a very nice philosophy, a very deep psychological mechanism for bringing focus in our lives. Only when we have rid ourselves of all distractions, of all uh, the day-to-day dukkhas, by becoming completely relaxed, will our buddhi even involuntarily come and get fixed. Buddhi paryavatishthate. And Krishna says further, Nasti buddhirayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantira shantasya kutas sukham. So why is this buddhi getting fixed important? Because Nasti buddhirayuktasya. So if you're ayukta, if you have not stabilized the mind, there is no chance for getting awareness. Nasti buddhi ayuktasya nacha ayuktasya bhavana. And when for a person who has not stabilized it's himself or herself, there is no bhavana, there is no true emotion too. There is no genuine emotion. Why? Because all our emotions that we so-called say we are very expressive of our emotions are all self-projections. Our selfishness, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it is just directed towards the self. So it is not a real emotion in that it has nothing to do with the other person. It is all about me, but just so-called, sugar-coating it as emotion. So when the emotion actually points at the other, that is when we call it as the bhavana. Otherwise, it is called vritti. all our anger, hate, so-called love, compassion, etc., in this state, when we are not enlightened, at least when I am not enlightened, is directing towards the center, which is the ego. That is why we call them as the vrittis, the ripples of the mind. And where do the ripples point at? Every part of the circle. If you see geometrically, even if I remove other parts of the circle and keep just a small arc, I can actually mathematically and geometrically figure out where the center is. So we express our emotions like these arcs, which inevitably point to the self. So only of a person who has become truly yukta, of a yogi, of a yogini, will they be able to harness genuine emotions for the other. Nacha yuktasya bhavana, nacha bhavayata shanti. And Krishna says something very magical. He says, only of a person who has such bhavanas towards the loka, towards the others, will he even have shanti, will he have complete tranquility and ashantasya kutasukha. And if you are not able to have such a tranquility, there is no scope, he says, for us to even think of permanent bliss or sukham of anandam. And I told all of this in terms of why the prasanna chetasa, to be completely relaxed in our mind, is to be completely in virama. And then we'll be able to do all these sadhanas, either spiritual or otherwise, in the world. Sarva sadhanaha. Lalatakshaha, who has the eye in his forehead, Lalatakshaha. Vishwadevaha, the Lord of the universe. Harinaha, he is the deer. Brahmavarchasaha, Brahmavarchasa, one who possesses the effulgence, the fame and powers of Brahma himself. Brahmavarchasa. Sthavarāṇāṃ patiṣcaiva niyamendriyavardhanah. Siddhartha siddha bhutartho chintya satyavrata shuchihi. Sthavarāṇāṃ patihi. Now we have seen the second word was what? Sthirasthānu, which is who is completely fixed and still, unmoving, unbudging. That is also the meaning of sthavara. We say sthavara, and contrary to that is jangama, which always moves. Jangama and sthavara. Sthavara is Ishvara and jangama is Jagat. Very beautifully yesterday again, Bhavani ma'am had contributed by saying how chara and achara mean the same way. Sthavara is that which is completely still, and even amongst those people or those souls which have stilled themselves, he is the pati. Sthavaranam pati. He is the supreme boss of all of them. Niyamendriya vardhanaha. Niyama indriya vardhana. Through niyama, through control, through self-control, he actually causes the indriyas to expand and empower themselves. So we actually think self-control and discipline is suppressing these organs. Let's say I don't have to look at the bad stuff. I don't have to. I mean, I should not eat bad things, etc. But through doing all of these niyamas, all of these self-control tactics, the indriyas actually become very energized. We have seen many of these yogis. We have seen YouTube videos too of yogis sitting on the Himalayas, completely bare. Their skin doesn't really get frost bites, or neither do their brain go into brain frosts. How is that possible? Because through niyama, their indriyas has become very well trained, like a gym, and they have increased in their capabilities and facilities. Niyamendriya vardhana. Siddhartha siddha bhutartha, who has achieved the purpose of life. Siddhartha siddha bhutartha, he also has achieved the purpose of the universe itself. So they say that universe ka purpose is leela. It is just an expression of play, of a drama, of some unknown mystical desire called Maya, which led to the creation of the universe. And he has achieved the purpose of it. And what is the purpose of Leela? It is to enjoy. Hey, what is the purpose of a drama? Why do I go to a movie? It is just to derive joy out of it. So, because he is the witness of the entire play of the universe, he has also led the play itself to become fulfilled in its purpose. So, he has therefore given meaning to the universe by being a witness and enjoying it. Achintyaha, already explained. Satyvrataha, one who sticks to one fundamental cosmic order very firmly. And he himself is so masculine, so unbudging, unforgiving, that all the Raghukula, the Ikshvakukula dynasties, uh, kings were also called Satyavratis because they would stick to their principles very firmly, and they actually worship Shiva. In fact, there is also a solid evidence of in the Ramayana itself of Rama worshipping Shiva at the Rameshwaram, and this is where they derive their strength to stick and hold on to their principles steadfastly from Shiva. Satyavrataha Shuchihi. He is, of course, hygiene itself. Shuchihi. One final shloka. Vratadhipah param brahma bhaktanam paramagatihi vimukto mukta tejascha shriman shrivardhano jagat. And one final concluding verse of the Sahasranama sums up all the dhyayas, all the goals of the four spiritual paths as Shiva itself, and says he is the Vratadhipa. He is the Adhipa, the king or the ruler of all vratas, of being completely self-disciplined, which is the Raja Yoga. Param Brahma, he is the supremest ultimate reality. Param Brahma, this great vast, which is kind of very Advaitic, very abstract and philosophical. Bhaktanam Paramagatihi, he is also the supreme goal and destination of all bhaktas and the bhakti margis, which is Shiva itself. And Vimuktaha, so having reconciled all the three major paths, he is also the finally the liberated one, Vimuktaha. And Mukta Tejaha cha. And not only is he liberated from this world and from the clutches of Maya, but he is also Mukta Tejaha cha. Now, this is a very mystical word. It means one who is liberated from Tejas also. That's quite hard to understand. And so I was able to come up with this explanation that one who is not only liberated from bandha, but also from moksha itself, from the concepts and ideas of moksha itself. And why I say this is because in the Shatkam, in that Atma Shatkam, Nirvana Shatkam, it says, Name bandha, name moksha, and something like that. So, which means even Shankaracharya, as Shiva, identifying with Shiva, he says, I neither have bandhas, so we can understand that because maybe he is liberated, but actually I don't even have moksha. So in that sense, Shiva could be Mukta Tejaha. He could have been liberated from the supreme splendor, Mukta Tejaha, because now no idea of bandha or moksha exists in such an exalted state, such an advanced, highly advanced state, which has transcended the mind itself, where the concepts of bandha and moksha come. He therefore has become the Mukta Teja, Shriman, he, the great wielder of Shri. Shri means Shakti. Shriman, one who always has Shakti as his companion, Shriman. Shri Vardhanaha, one who increases the Shakti of others. So he is the Pushti Vardhana, Shri Vardhanaha. त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्. we say. So he is the Pushti Vardhana. He is also Indriya Vardhana through Niyamas, and he is also the Pushti Vardhana, Shakti Vardhana in all of us. The worship of Shiva itself imbues us with supreme energy. We feel so energized and vigorous, just even taking the name of Shiva itself. Which is why the Shiva Bhaktas, especially so, have always been very adventurous, sahasis. They have been very adventurous, very courageous, always doing things beyond the normal, beyond the ordinary. Shri Vardhana, and because they have enormous strength. So Shiva does not really care about good or evil. He cares about strength, 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 and strength, which is incidentally what even Swami Vivekananda always talked about. Right? Strength is life and weakness is death, he says. And again, you see, weakness is death. So what does Shiva do as Mrityunjaya to conquer Jaya, to get Jaya over Mrityu, over death, is to give you strength so that you have, through strength, lived and not died. And that is a very nice connection between Swami Vivekananda and Shiva. In fact, many people actually compare and say, though Swami Vivekananda was said to be Narayana Swarupa because his guru would say so, he actually did a lot of Shiva work in society, and people around him actually saw him to be very fiery, very enthused always, like a firebrand. And his guru was very calm, like the waters of Vishnu, Sri Ramakrishna. So Ramakrishna, of course, is this unmistakable name of Vishnu itself, Vishnu Tattva itself. And Viveka, Vairagya, all of these belong to the domain of Shiva. So Shri Vardhanaha, one who increases our strength. Shri Vardhanaha, Jagat. Jagat is, which we have talked about in length, the completely changing, the ever manifesting, the ever dissolving and creating phenomenon of material and spiritual worlds. That is called Jagat, which always goes and comes. Gata Gatam. While the first name was Thira, finally it wraps up the entire stotram by saying he is also the moving things, Jagat. He is also the Sthirata and also the movement. So that brings us to an end of this discussion of the meanings of stotram. Tomorrow we shall just quickly go over the remaining shlokas. First we'll chant them and practice, and take one more day to completely discuss the meanings. They're not really very hard, so I'll not go word by word. All those which have been already discussed in the Purva Pitika is somewhat repeated, so we can finish it within a day or so. Please make sure that you keep in touch with the Sahasranamam, even if we finish with the classes, so that we all get our Shri Vardhanatva. We all become energized ever and ever again, become renewed by the strength of Shiva itself, which he is lending to us very gracefully. So, as to any inputs, please do speak up. What has your experience of all these meanings so far been? We have accomplished the unprecedented task of actually taking all the meanings one by one. I somehow feel a little elated that we were able to complete it, albeit with a certain delay, though I had planned to finish it up within before Shivaratri, but we still were able to accomplish it. Any feedback, any reviews is definitely most welcome. Please be honest. You can always tell me suggestions so as to improve in my upcoming projects.
So it's really very mammoth task that you have word by word meaning. And we were trying, I was at least trying to note down whatever I could. I missed 3 classes because of retreat. It's been really very getting fully immersed Shiva Tattva.
Thank you. Dhanyawad. And how was the retreat, ma'am? Did our Shiva classes supplement your retreat?
So many things like became clearer. And today also when you spoke about all concepts of buddhi and manas and all that, same thing they were touching, the Panchakoshas.
Okay.
So more clear scientific concepts. That are more on Vedanta. Also.
Correct, correct. Fantastic. Thank you.
So clear. They were in Shiva all this time. So you continue chanting and remembering these meanings. So
Surely. Thank you.
so no word to what is. Thank you so much.
Dhanyawad.
We would like to continue your classes. Anything else you
Oh, sure. I'm blessed, honored. Thank you.
something that somebody asked for Ramachasa.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you for being a part with us. Yes. Yes, Usha, ma'am, you had something to say?
Yes, as Baji said, it's the same, but similar rather than the same. It was as explained. I mean, I just mentioned it was a training Mana that like why I'm not chanting even just Om Namah Shivaya. I have to do and have to go to I got this link and then it is more beyond imagination that the session went and I could able to next read complete Sahasranama with the help of the video as well as the sessions and which were I could able to attend. This was the first time in my life that I could do it, and because of my health condition, I cannot recite long shlokas, but by Guruji's grace and God's grace, and with all of your association, I could able to go it. That's the biggest point. And one more thing, when is it right or not? But my uncle, Venkat, my uncle says, you are not supposed to take any teaching without the small thing. So he was mentioning that we just only one this one is title in which but I would like to just pray in the sense, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸಣ್ಣದೇ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಬುಕ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೋದಾ
Kandita, Kandita. I mean, I'm honored that you want to contribute. I mean, definitely. I mean, it's not anything as Dakshina or Guru Dakshina because I'm no guru myself. I am actually learning a lot through the satsanga which is happening, and many of you have been attending it very so regularly and contributing your thoughts and inputs. I am actually myself blessed, so I must be the one to consider all of you as my guru. So I still consider all of you as very advanced but still co-travelers. So there is no need for dakshina, though I always meant for this series to be very accessible and open to anybody and everybody. So I wanted it to be free. But yes, if you feel like contributing, I mean, they say an adhyapak, at least that's what you also have been calling me, and I consider that as true to be myself too. So danam parigraha. So it is the duty as injuncted by the Shastras to not refuse. So I will happily accept it. I will not refuse. Thank you.
So kind of so, with what were the conditions and constraints I have, I'll just share one of the book name and I would like to send it online.
Okay. Surely. No worries. Thank you. We can discuss ticket offline. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
So धन्यवाद. It's like collecting of thing and then adding to value to the whole of knowledge. Each one of us have a rich experience and knowledge gained over interest. So I learned a lot from all of it. So
This is actually true. Dhanyawada to all of you, fellow participants too. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
whatever it may be,